Getting a mining job, how not to have a bad experience, Mining 101 podcast, getting bad advice. So in today's podcast episode, I am going to talk about something that I've wanted to talk to you about for a while now, and that's how people keep on getting the same bad advice over and over again. I see it happen a lot around, and it's extremely frustrating, and it has a lot to do with people referring to themselves as miners a lot. So I wrote a blog about it, who gets to call themselves a miner, how to spot a fake, and you can have a look at that at some point if you want to. I run through all the different jobs and what everybody calls themselves, and there's only one real job that calls themselves a miner, and that's normally the underground air leg miners. But the reason that the confusion happens, and I wrote a Facebook post about it that we're going to have a look at now. So when taking advice about mining, you need to understand the person's background, and someone calling themselves a miner should be sending up red flags straight away. In the article below, which is the one that we've already had a quick look at, I outline exactly who gets to call themselves a miner and who doesn't. So why is it important? And this is why it's important. This is why people get everything wrong and they go and spend thousands on training that's useless. So if you take advice from a shutdown worker claiming to a miner, you're going to end up with a shutdown job, not a production mining job. And the reason for that is because when people say that they're a miner and they're actually a shutdown worker, they tell you to go and do everything that they did to get their shutdown job, not to actually get the mining job. Now, as I've already said, the secret to getting the mining job, a production mining job, is to give the employers exactly what they want, somebody that knows how their mine works. You can use the sponsors training to do that, because the issue that all the employers have isn't teaching you how to drive the truck. The example of the underground truck is perfect. They go through so many people as underground truck drivers. It's not because people can't learn how to drive the truck. That's easy. It only takes a couple of weeks. What everybody struggles with is learning enough about the mine so they can be left alone to drive the truck on their own. If you can't be left alone to get on with the job in the mine site safely by yourself, you don't have a job. The longer it takes you to get up to speed, the more they ramp up the pressure, because they've got to, because it's a business. The more people put up their hand and say, get me the hell out of here. It is what it is. And so if you can show them by doing the sponsors training that you already know how the mine works and you've got all the theory behind you, that's the secret to getting their attention. Everybody that we help, the majority of people that we help that have studied properly, that go to Kalgoorlie, get jobs very quickly. And the reason is there's a lot of jobs up there, and there's nobody with any skills that can be thrown in the deep end. Knowing how the mine works is a skill that the employers want. But anyway, getting back to the podcast, if you take advice from a utility worker that is claiming to be a miner, you're going to end up with a utility job. I've seen a lot of people fall for that one, and especially with security guard staff and that sort of stuff. If you take advice from people that are doing those sort of jobs on the mine site, that's what you're going to end up with. If you take advice from a civil worker claiming to be a miner, you're going to end up with a civil job, because you're going to end up with a bunch of tickets that the employers can't use, and the only place that you can use them are the civil jobs around the place. So that's where people end up. And the whole point of this is that if you keep taking advice from people that claim to be miners without finding out exactly where they work and the context to the information that they're giving you, then what's going to end up happening is that you're going to end up doing a whole heap of training that isn't going to help you get a production mining job, and you're going to have a bad time of it. And like I said, I've been wanting to do this episode for a while now because I see this all over the place. It's going to probably turn out to be a lot shorter episode than I thought it was going to be, because I'm pretty direct and straight to the point about what's going on with it. If you want to be a production miner, then you have to go and learn how they want you to know how the mine works. Learning how to drive the truck, learning how to use the equipment, those sort of things are skills that the employer can provide on site easily. What they can't provide easily is giving you all that knowledge that you need to learn and understand and go through to actually know how the theory of the mine works, because your goal as the new employee is to get yourself to such a stage where you can be left alone to get on with the job. Now, I know a lot of the big companies in iron ore and coal do 6 and 12 months traineeships. They do that to get around that, but that's not where a lot of the jobs are now, unfortunately. A lot of those places are all going driverless, or if they've already gone driverless, or the traineeships that they're offering up aren't really worth doing, to be honest with you. They're more about wage suppression than anything else. And with a lot of those mines going driverless in the future, then if you do get yourself into a 1 or 2 year traineeship, where does it lead, how much money it's going to make? When I talk about where the jobs are in the industry, I like to use the YouTube channel's motto of going where the employers have got no choice but to hire new starters and give them what they want. And the two places that is happening in the industry at the moment is hard rock underground and exploration. As I just discussed, coal and iron ore, they've got the choice of people. That's why the traineeship wages are going down. That's why everybody's pretty much levelling out around that $50 an hour mark in all those full-time jobs, because that's where the employers want to keep it. In the hard rock underground and the surface exploration, the money is a bit higher and you've got the scope to climb the ladder and get the higher jobs, which pay a lot more. And the reason that you've got that scope is because there's so much work around at the moment, and there is nobody with any experience that wants to drive a truck. Everybody that's got 12 months truck driving experience, they want a service crew job. Why? Because the service crew job pays 30 grand a year more than the truck driving job does. And everybody else on the crew all the way up to the jumbo operator wants the same thing. They want to go up to the next level because it pays so much more than where they are at the moment. And that's the way it works. So it's all about the advice that you're given to understand what's actually going to get you the job and what's not going to get you the job. Because in a lot of places, it's people get advice from people that say they're in mining, or they've got a friend that's in mining, and they get what the advice is to be a shutdown worker. And shutdown worker is not a full-time job. It's just a temporary maintenance job. And you go from one shutdown job to another. Can you make a good living out of it? Yes, you can. But sometimes, you've got to have money up your sleeve, because sometimes it could be a couple of months between shutdown work. Or at the moment, what I've been told, the shutdown work's dried up a little bit. So it's all about, getting yourself into that side of the industry that's paying full-time with jobs and all that sort of stuff. And at the moment, that's hard rock underground and exploration, and you can get yourself a full-time permanent job that pays a lot of money that way. But they want people that they can throw in the deep end and that they can, set up for success. And, if you're doing that, the skill that they want is knowing how the mine works, knowing the rules. They want you to know the rules. And, going out and doing a bunch of tickets isn't going to teach you how the rules work, especially where the places that you're going, if you're going hard rock underground or you're going surface exploration, all the companies have to issue their own on-site equipment tickets and on-site procedures. It just is what it is. So knowing the rules and understanding what's going on is the best way to fight against the bad advice. And I don't think a lot of people mean to give out bad advice. I think that they just give out the advice that they do because they've decided to call themselves a miner, and this is what they think mining's all about. Whereas, most people, when they say and they come at it, I want a mining job, they're talking about the production mining jobs. They're either talking about the dump trucks on the surface or the underground jobs. The majority of people are talking about the dump trucks on the surface, but there aren't many of those jobs left around the place because, like I said before, they're all going driverless. BHP, Mitsubishi Alliance, 18 months ago signed a thing with Komatsu to turn 500 of their coal trucks driverless. It is what it is. Anything that's 40 metres from the surface that they can strip mine, they're going to be using these driverless trucks in the future. That's why the future careers are in the deep pits and the underground, and there's more jobs in the underground. So that's where we advise you to have a look and get a job for the long-term career and the good-paying jobs. But the way in isn't to try and convince them that you already know how to drive their truck. The way in is to tell them, to show them that you know how their mine works, because that means they can throw you in the deep end, get you up to speed in 3 or 4 weeks instead of the 2 or 3 months it normally takes. So that's what happens with bad advice. That's where the jobs are. That's what's going on a bit with the industry. So I think I've made it a little bit longer there and padded it out. But so I hope you enjoyed that episode, and that is Mining 101.